I start my speech in 3, 2, 1. As a member of opposition, I will elaborate our motion and our argumentation about this House belief that internet access should be limited by human rights. Internet access shouldn't be limited by human rights because internet itself is for everyone who are able to access it. Back to the human right itself, we as humans have the freedom to express our opinion and to get information like the news. Accessing the internet is a freedom to connect, like where people who can access it are people who must be able to access the internet in order to have their freedom of expression and opinion. By not limiting the internet access, just like my first speaker said, that we can get information from the internet. Like nowadays, we cannot deny that everyone searching up or looking up about the news, about the truth about in this world, in internet, by accessing internet. We can just know about what is actually happening in this world and about the truth of something that we want to know. And then the right to the internet access is a freedom of expression and opinion, right? As my first speaker said, in internet we can give our opinion, our voices about things that we are up to. So they cannot just unreasonably restrict our individual access to the internet, right? The limitation of the content can be considered as the key branch of the human rights, namely the right of the freedom of speech, because once we prohibit it and set restriction and then also limitation, it just seems like we make their chance to speak is smaller, right? Like if there's any limitation, it just the chance of them to speak is smaller. So it's going to be against the rights of freedom of speech. And we can also deny that on the internet, any individual can publish anything, right? People can publish anything. So when people said limiting the internet access by human rights is going to prevent all of the bad impact of the accessing internet could be disappear? No, of course not, because the internet is so global, it is so wide. So just because we limited the internet access by human rights, it's not going to make the bad side is going to be disappeared. No. So the people on internet itself has to know how to filter about the good and the bad sides of the accessing internet. So they just have to filter about the news, and the internet itself should not be limited by human rights. Okay, let's jump to the one of the case that I'll take is about the political issue. One of the common issue about the internet access is when there's about political issue, when the government limited the access of the internet by take the cover as human rights, but in reality they just afraid something or the things in a bad way could be revealed by anyone, so they just limited the access of the internet in form of network outage. Well, in this case, like there's also common issue where people or the government try to protect this one important person human rights by not make their names worse, like one of the human rights is have a good name in publicly. So by protecting their human rights, this 1% human rights, the government took conclusion to do network outage to protect this 1% human rights. So citizen could not do or voice or point out the truth of this bad side of this one important person. So this is what we refer when the limitation of internet access could erase the chance of human to speak or to be heard, because only with this internet we can voice out our opinion. We cannot just directly talk to the upper important person or upper government to tell about this one bad issue. But in this but with internet we can make all of the people all of in the world in this world know about the truth of the thing that we have to know. In like other cases, like in Papua also in 2019, there's the government shut down the internet so the citizen can access the news about the condition. So it is against the freedom of it is against the chance of people who has right to know about the information. They cannot they cannot gain information about the real condition about in Papua. So and the Papua citizen itself cannot voice out their opinion, so they have no chance to speak and they have no freedom to speak, right? And also in other side, we also know that internet nowadays is powerful in pointing out their voices, just like mass media and online petition. And petition also could be a useful tool in demonstration. So in this term of politics, the limitation in internet access could be done in a wrong way, just because they want to protect this one of important person, or they just it is just one alternative way to not be critic by the citizen. So by limiting the internet access by human rights, it is against of human rights, which is a freedom of speech and freedom of people to gain information. So as opening opposition, we are proud to oppose that this house believes that internet access should be limited by human rights. Thank you.